What's up?
What's up?
So I am Diego and you are?
I'm Nathan
Right.
Cabrera.
And this thing that I'm doing right now, it has no name because, I originally wanted to go with something, but then I didn't want to go with something, but I'll just call it The Ordinary Show for now.
Okay.
Basically what it is, I get ordinary people who I know and who I want to talk to and try and put them on the spot, because a lot of times you see people who are celebrities and they get all the interviews, but I don't think that's fair when a lot of people have interesting lives that they can share. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Nathan Cabrera. I am definitely ordinary. I go to college right now. I'm attending a 2-year Citrus College. Hopefully planning to transfer out soon. I study theater vigorously. Like that's all I study. I just take classes for theater and stuff. I work. I have to work. And one of my jobs is being an intern here at Harupa Hills. It's a pretty good gig. I get paid, and I'm also going to be directing the play, which I'm going to get paid for, which is awesome. And then I do other odd jobs with my dad or for people, things like that. And that's me, I guess. Yeah, About it.
Cool. All right. So, how is it like being in this business? Because theater, I know it's not easy, and a lot of times I think it's harder than being in film sometimes, because you actually have to physically be able to do everything. You have to be able to sing, dance, everything, and you can't really fake it as you would be able to. So walk me through how hard that process has been for you.
For theater?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to make it clear that theater is what I'm studying for, but only because I want to learn about acting. Film is the goal. So I do theater now, but film is ultimately the goal and definitely where I want to stay. But as far as my theater experience goes, I honestly have found it easier than when I'm on film. Just because when you're on film, there are no rehearsals, usually. Sometimes, but only for special occasions. Like most films don't do that. The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse that just came out, that had rehearsals, and that was like new for Robert Pattinson and stuff. So that's not common, and I think that helps. Rehearsals help a bunch, and then you're on stage. Your character goes through an arc from start to finish. When you're on film, no rehearsals, you show up and you can be filming the end scene, you could be filming middle or the beginning, so it doesn't matter. You have to understand exactly where your character is at. Not only that, there's a dude with the camera in front of your face and a bunch of people. There's a big fuzzy, they call it a fuzzy cat, a dead cat. That's the microphone, and that dude's like right there in your face, and everyone's just like staring at you, and so that gets distracting.
Yeah.
It can be really hard to just be in the moment. Whereas when you're on stage, the lights are so bright I can't even see anybody, you can't even see people, so it doesn't even matter. Like there's no eyes on me. It's just me on the stage right now. Everyone's quiet, no one's talking. We're not gonna say cut, do it again. It's not gonna be like a 5-second scene. It's the whole play from start to finish, and I get to be in that character's shoes and explore his entire arc, and I think that's easier. It's a lot more work, I think, but as an actor, it allows me to just just fall into that role, fall into that performance. So I think I find it easier. Musical theater, on the other hand, that's a whole other monster, because you do have to sing and you do have to dance and you have to act and you have to do all three at the same time, and it's hard to work on all that. It's not my forte, but when I have done musicals and they're very difficult. Choreography I find very, very, very hard. And then to sing while you're dancing and then do the whole show, that could be exhausting. And I guess rehearsals take up your life, for whatever show you're doing. If you have rehearsals in it, that's your life for the next 2 months. And that's also a difference between film and theater. Is you just do film on your own, you do your homework, you show up for that week of shooting, and you're done.
Right. So, it's kind of weird to ask a question like this, but, we're in businesses that require you to kind of have a certain look, be a certain type.
Yeah.
And how does that feel? Because, a lot of times people will say, there's been history about minorities or certain groups not getting jobs because of their
Yeah.
race or their type and whatnot. And we've expanded on that as a society, like these people get more opportunities and whatnot. But in a career where you have to be the build, the type, how does it feel to be a minority and try and get somewhere? Because a lot of times people, and nowadays we're seeing people build on the minority type, like, we have In the Heights and all those stereotypes being built upon and expanded on. But how has that been, and how do you think that looks like right now in our current generation?
Yeah. Well, actually, right now, in the business, being a minority is a huge plus. In fact, I've been hearing that for the past 5-6 years. They've been telling me hurry up and get in the game, because right now brown boys they're in season, and I'm like, oh yeah, brown boys. And that's cool. So you're seeing a lot more of that, especially because of things like Netflix. I've been reading a lot of articles and seeing a lot of stuff. People are talking about the superstar is dying. So the Brad Pitts, the Leonardo DiCaprios, the Angelina Jolies, and et cetera. That type of fame, that type of stardom is going away. And now we have, it's different. We have a bunch of different actors that you can choose from. If you go to Netflix, obviously, if you know someone's going to do a good job, you call them back, obviously. But what's it called? If you go, you see a lot of new actors and a lot of weird looking actors, people who wouldn't get roles before. You're talking about how you have to look and how you're built and all that. And it was a huge thing in Hollywood in the past, for sure. And you'd have to have the right height, and you'd have to be strong, the leading man or whatever. And if you were to look like that, you're that guy, and that's that. I think now the industry is changing big time on that. And film specifically, because theater is already an established art form, and theater's always been ahead of the curve. But I'm talking about the stuff that we continuously revivals of Tennessee Williams, revivals of Edward Albee, some absurdist from the 50s. All those characters are white, and they are always, more than often, blonde-haired, blue-eyed dudes, and in their 20s. So when I went to college, what was funny is that I had to play white people, and they have lines where they say, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm a white guy, and stuff like that. And then in the audience is like, obviously not. And it's just really funny. But that is the biggest thing right now, because I'm studying theater. All the roles are white people. I like to look for stuff that has a bunch of brown people in it, but like you said, In the Heights now, there's an author, Stephen Adly Gurgis, who puts out the best stuff for any colored person. It's really good stuff. And film right now, being a minority is a good thing, because you're going to get more roles specified for you. They're looking for that. It's what's in right now. It's what they're doing shows about. So right now, it's my plus. But before coming into the industry, being a minority, not even being a minority, how you called it, an ordinary person, where we're at, it seemed like a unattainable goal. Seemed more like a dream than it did an actual, something I could actually do, a career or whatever, because I was just who I am. I'm some Mexican kid in Fontana right now, that ain't gonna happen. But no, now I see it differently, and what's cool is right now it's a plus. Right now it's in, so I guess it's my time to exploit the brownness, which is great. I love being brown, by the way. Yeah. So, I think that's cool, because I like utilizing everything that. I mean, when you're an actor, you're a business. You're a business person, and you are the business. You are the product as well that you're selling. So that's funny. So you have to know your weaks and your strengths, and love both of them for what they are. And I love the fact that I'm brown. And I also know that because of that, I'm not going to get a lot of roles. And you think about superheroes, and I would love to be a superhero, but I think there's only one brown one, and he's the Spider-Man, the 2049 Spider-Man, Miguel O'Hara, and he's half white. So not brown people aren't there yet for superheroes, but eventually, and that'd be super cool.
Right. Super cool superheroes. So do you think this expansion in film and theater has impacted society the same way that it has in the film, in the sense that more minorities coming into films kind of supports the idea that minorities should be encouraged and uplifted in our society? Because that kind of is happening, but at the same time, with social media, you see both sides of the coin. You know, although you love an actor who's this color, you might see a really risky opinion about them on social media, and it kind of gets you wondering, although you support this person doing this work, how come you will still get the person of that race and like target them in a negative manner? Or do you think both should not be at all correlated? Because there's the argument that the artist should be separated from the art, but do you think that is truly the case when I'm going to support a brown artist but not really support the brown people, but still say I'm a supporter of that brown artist?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you're supporting, okay, I guess race is tricky. I guess you don't have to be in support of everybody or every movement all the time, but being if you're not progressing, if you're not helping anything progress or get better, you know, I don't think that's good. But if there's like a brown actor that somebody likes, like Oscar Isaac, for example, he was in Rise of Skywalker just now, Poe Dameron. If you're like, dude, yeah, Oscar Isaac, he's the best, but then all the people from Guatemala, like you hear news about immigration or something, you're like, damn, we need those guys over on that side. That's just being, I guess, inconsiderate and hypocritical, and it has nothing to do with the art or the film. That's just some person's personal beliefs about the border. And damn, this is a tough question because some people don't want the borders protected for race. Sometimes they have it for other reasons, you know, like there's a lot of people in the military that believe that, and it has nothing to do with racism. And I guess I understand that, but I guess if you're in support of something, that's cool. That's great. If you're not in support of something, that's fine too. That's your problem. If you're against something, though, I mean, that's where the issue arises. And if someone's just supporting Oscar Isaac, I mean, that's great. We need more. We need as many brown people as we can get in there. So if they support Oscar Isaac, but they don't really think about what's happening on the other side of the world, I guess that's fine. You know, it's fine. I mean, it's not. It helps because he still likes Oscar Isaac, and I guess that's all we could ask for. And I guess changing people's minds about that is not like our job or something, you know, like I guess, I don't know. People need to come to that realization on their own with the help of their friends or whatever. I don't think that's a job for a stranger to do. Art can do art, whatever. I think if it's vice versa though, if you don't like someone because they're brown, that makes no sense. That's just straight up racism. So there's that. But that's a tricky question. Sorry if I took a while answering that one.
Nah, no, definitely, and it's very controversial, and that's kind of why it was a weird question to throw out, but something I felt was necessary because you know you do see this divide in people, and obviously political reasons, but I don't really want to expand on that politically because that's very controversial. But yeah. So, anyways, do you think it's justified for people to see movies based on a certain star being in it? Because, you know, you say you want to be a film person, and personally, I do too. I enjoy films, but I think people should see new films that don't really have the star actor. And, you know, you say the star is dying, and I think that's great. So do you think people should stop going through with that mentality, or is it fine, but just expand on your art? Because I think that's the way to go. But some people still think, well, if it doesn't have this or that, I'm not really interested. When in reality, there's a lot of good movies out there that we haven't checked out.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I had to come to terms with before deciding to do this was that there's people who don't give like a single like crap about movies, you know? I know I have a bunch of uncles. I've always been obsessed with it. And I have uncles who are like they just see it as a waste of time. They go to the movie theaters, they get tired, they take a nap. They don't like to do it, you know? They do it for their daughters or whatever to watch Frozen or something. And I understand that that's just not some people's cup of tea. And I don't think that I'm not going to say what people should and shouldn't watch. like, you know, like, no, don't watch it because of this or watch it because of that. Like, my grandparents are old school, in which they do look for the actor, you know, like they do look for a Schwarzenegger or a Stallone or something, because that's from, you know, so they'll see a name, they'll see Ridley Scott, and they're like, ooh, Alien, we got to go watch that, you know. That's like my grandparents. My parents do that too, but they're still a little more like in what is now, where nowadays you look at a character, you're like, ooh, Falcon, and it's Anthony Mackie, but you don't say Anthony Mackie, you say, oh, it's Falcon, oh, it's Captain America and Knives Out, you know what I'm saying? And I guess that's fine. If people want to watch that for that reason, that's fine. People have all their reasons. But that there are really, really good movies that aren't blockbusters, that don't have the stars, that is 100% true. And I love that. I'm a cinephile. I love movies. So I don't look for that. I just, you know, whatever movie sound, like the story sounds good, I'm gonna watch it, you know. If it sounds appealing, if I see good names on something, I'll watch it. I don't like cars. Ford v Ferrari just came out. I'm not a car guy, you know. I wasn't like Ford, yeah, but I do love Christian Bale. I do love Matt Damon, and I know that together they're gonna do a really good job, and so I watched it, you know, for that reason, not because of the cars. And it was a great movie. It had nothing to do with cars, actually. It was more about pursuing your dreams. But yeah, like, it's fine for people to watch movies for whatever reasons they have. People have terrible, stupid reasons, you know, I hate it. But, you know, that's their reasons. And some people don't even like movies, and that's fine. I just got to learn to I've learned to bite my tongue when it comes to that, because there'll be movies, I'm like passionate about a movie, you know, and like it means so much to me. It's like a foundation of my childhood, and it's literally the pillar that I'm standing on. And people will be like, "Oh yeah, that sucked. Oh God," you know, and I'm like, "No, it was a good movie. Star Wars is good." But like, so you just gotta learn to brush that off, I guess. People have their reasons for watching stuff. It'd be cool if everybody got on board with that, obviously. I don't understand why not everybody likes movies. It doesn't make sense to me, but that's because I love movies, obviously. Yeah. But it'd be cool if everyone did that and stepped away further from the star thing that you were talking about. It's just the way that people handle the stardom. Like how they, like, the celebrity thing, you know? Oh, this weekend Justin Bieber went on a vacation and had a Sprite. And you're like, what? I don't know. I don't understand how that's news. That's just taking away time. All that celebrity stuff, that's what's bad for me. I don't know about being a star exactly, but the celebrity, that's what's like, that sucks. Yeah.
Right. I think that's off-putting too. Like being a celebrity and then every single thing you do is suddenly being traced back to you. And, you know, once again, I ask you, what's the difference between the artist and the art, and should we really separate them? Because now with social media, there's a huge come up of people taking things out of context from the past and then bringing it back up. And suddenly people who had their careers built on hard work are suddenly, you know, a mistake from high school and it's all gone, you know?
Yeah.
So do you think that's justified, or is it kind of an over-exaggeration? No. And how do you think we can fix that?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. No, I hate all that. It sounds like you're talking about Kevin Hart's Oscar thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's one, but I'm saying in general.
Yeah, no, that does happen a lot. But like specifically, that's one big one. Kevin Hart, who is very nice, very nice guy, and obviously not homophobic. And because he tweeted something as a joke beforehand, he couldn't host the Oscars now, which was his dream. Dave Chappelle made a joke about that. He's like, that's how you know that's special, because what sane black man is going to want to host the Oscars? And he didn't get to do it. He didn't get to do it because of they made him apologize publicly and all that, and he's like, nah. But then he did anyways. And then he's like, no, I'm not doing the Oscars anymore. But yeah, see, that's messed up. That makes no sense. That dude, that was a big step in his career. That could have been an awesome thing for him to do, and he couldn't because of the way people reacted to what happened before. Separating an artist, the art from the artist, is very important to do. And it's almost like it's near impossible to do that now in our day and age. But I mean, if you look at the greatest works of art, if you look at people like Van Gogh, the painter, who we still study now, you know, everybody, obviously he's Van Gogh. Dude was crazy. Dude was crazy. He chopped off his ear and gave it to
Right.
his wife, and he was like, "Here, I love you. Look, it's my ear." And what a psycho, you know? Nobody that wouldn't fly now, you know? That would never fly. Be like, what the? Take this guy's paintings off the wall or something, you know? I mean, Eugene O'Neill, who wrote amazing plays. He's one of the most famous American playwrights. Wrote like Long Day's Journey in a Night. He was a terrible alcoholic, abusive father and husband. Terrible. Not a good guy. But his plays still stand the test of time, you know? And that's like true for a lot of artists. And it's funny because people pick and choose. For example, Robert Downey Jr. has the same background, where Robert
Right.
Downey Jr. was an actual addict to not just alcohol but drugs, and he went to rehab, he went to jail, he went to prison. He said things that he shouldn't have said that come across as maybe even like a little like on the racist or homophobic side kind of thing, you know? Not saying he is, I'm just saying he would say crazy things, and you're not like allowed to say stuff like that no more. But we still love him. He's Iron Man, and everybody loves him. But then you look at Kanye West, you know, like we'll look at Kanye West, and Kanye West will do something like when he was walking and TMZ was interviewing and he hit his head on the sign. He's like, get out of here, guys. And everyone's like, dude, this guy sucks. Or when he said about the slavery or the Trump hat or whatever, and everybody hates and hates and hates and hates on the guy. And then he has his solid followers, obviously. But then there's people who are like, no, I'm not going to listen to his music. He sucks. He sucks. He's a terrible dude. He's a terrible dude. And it's just funny because people get to pick and choose, you know? And you get to select which ones you want to, which artist you're going to like look as a whole artist, including their art, or just somebody's art. And we have a bunch of artists in our time where we can do that. And I guess it depends. I think if you're going to appreciate art, you got to know the artist as well. So if you really want to appreciate it, you should get to know the artist. But that doesn't mean that it affects the product that he made, you know? It doesn't make it any better, doesn't make it any worse. It's just this product, and you loved it for what it was, and then there's this guy who made it. And it can either help you appreciate the whole thing better as a whole or not. There's people like Kanye West, though, who do it as a public stunt, you know? Kanye West always does some crazy stuff before his new albums drop. For like about half a year, he'll do crazy stuff and say crazy things that make no sense whatsoever. And then he'll drop a new album with all this controversy talking about Kanye. Everyone's going to give it a listen whether they want to or not, you know? He's one of those like there's no such thing as bad publicity, you know?
Right.
And it's like when people take advantage of that, it's like, well, I don't want to listen to who you are as an artist because you're not going to help enhance your music any more or any less. Like, it's not going to do anything because these are just stunts. This is just a publicity stunt. This is just for your career or whatever. And I don't like that, you know? But I think, so like right there, I'll separate the artist from the art, you know? I'll be like, well, this is something that's not going to help me understand his music or his album or anything at all. But like Eugene O'Neill, knowing where he came from and his childhood and his background informs the play Long Day's Journey into Night like crazy. Long Day's Journey into Night is a biopic, and you would not have even known. It's not a pic because it's not a movie, but
right.
Yeah, it's a biography, and pretty much an autobiography. And if you wouldn't know that if you didn't research the artist and understood his life, and then you're like, wow, this play makes me understand why he was a terrible person. That's why he was a mean drunk and a terrible father, never accepted his kids. But yeah, like I wouldn't stop reading the plays because he did that stuff, and I wouldn't stop listening to Kanye West's albums because he's doing these dumb stunts. I'll stop listening when they're not good, which lately only a couple songs are good, but I mean,
right. What do you think? Because, you know, you're right, or at least you mentioned the idea of, you know, the person, I forgot the exact name, where they made the play and you wouldn't have known the exact, you know, it wouldn't have been fulfilled as much as if you had known their history and their background. So what do you think is the connection with the artist in the audience in making their art? Because there's certain things we're starting to see where art is built upon, you know, history, and you kind of have to know this and that. But at the same time, people kind of want to keep their lives secret. And, you know, this one doesn't really capture what I'm trying to say as much, but, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch that movie, like, on your own, you didn't know anything about the past, you'd be like, oh, that was cool. You know, like
what if you knew the Sharon Tate murders?
Right. Then it's like,
yes. At the very ending has weight because you're expecting that, and then
you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So do you think people should have that connection with the artist so they can be more connected with their movies, because you know, if you have a deeper connection with the artist, you can feel more connected with the movies? Or should we keep them separate and at least have like a safe border, because you know, you don't want to go full stalker mode, but at the same time, you know, you kind of want to have that intimacy? Or is it just come see my movie and then that's it?
I guess it depends on the viewer. That depends on the person. I think like you said, it helps. Being knowledgeable always helps. The more you know, the better, especially for movies and stuff. I mean, if you go to Interstellar and they talk about black holes and stuff, blows your mind. It's actual science, you know. If you didn't, and like something more like the Joker that just came out, you know, if you know the graphic novels, if you know the character, you're like interested to see where he came from beforehand. It adds weight to when he becomes the Joker, you know, things like that. So it's always good to be knowledgeable, you know, obviously, of what you're gonna watch. And if you're gonna watch something, usually it's because you're interested in it, so you already know a little bit about it. And it always helps. It does always help to know the artist before, like, you do watch the thing or read the thing or whatever. But I don't think that you have to. But it does take away from your enjoyment, for sure. Because if I didn't know the Sharon Tate, I know people who didn't know about the Sharon Tate murders. So when they saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the people came in at the end, it was no big deal. But I was like, oh dang, they're going to Rick Dalton's house. You know, I was like, oh snap, and then and they demolished them in a way that I did not expect, and I was like, woo woo woo, because they were, you know, psycho murderers, and it was like a different thing, like, for me to root for, cheer for, because I knew that, and other people didn't, and they wouldn't have known what to expect. I was expecting to watch that baby, you know, get, you know, bite the dust like in real life, but it didn't happen, which was great. It was so cool. So I guess it would help you if you want, like, to be knowledgeable about what you're watching. But I mean, that's up to you. That's up to whoever's gonna watch. Like I said, there's people who don't give a damn. You know, they could give a single flying flip about a movie, and they're not going to do any research, and they're just going to go watch it. Oh, Iron Man, yeah, he puts on a metal suit or whatever. But if you read the comic books and you knew the origin story, when Iron Man is building his suit in the, like, out of scraps when he's a hostage for some terrorists, you're like, dude, this is dope as heck, you know?
Yeah.
So it helps, but I mean, it just depends. I know some people like to really obsess over their artists, like, you know, there's those believers out there that really believe, and there's people who follow artists across the country or whatever. I mean, I'm not that crazy. I wouldn't do all that. I like to do my research. I like to know about them, but like only if it helps. Like, David Fincher is one of my favorite directors, and he's made some of my favorite movies. But I don't know much about his life. I just know about what matters, that he focuses on tiny details, that he does extra work than he should just to make the world fully developed and realized, and things like that, you know? So I'll look for that when I watch the movie. But I don't know anything about him. However, when I read a poem by Charles Bukowski, I can't just read a poem by Charles Bukowski. I gotta go find interviews where Charles Bukowski is being that crazy, disgusting, homeless man. Charles Bukowski was a homeless dude who became an incredibly famous poet, and he just lives this life of complete debauchery. And the only reason that it's so cool is when I see these interviews and I hear him talk, I'm like, wow, you know, that's how this guy's brain works. Like, this is the life he lives. What a hard, demanding, terrible lifestyle, but out comes this beautiful product that's incredibly relatable. And then I'll read those poems and I'll be like, wow, you know, that's coming from this homeless man, and these poems are great. And that's what, you know, that guy makes me, like, knowing him as a person, how he is as a human, the terrible things he's done, the horrible things he's done to normal people, prostitutes, to drug dealers, to all the, you know, his family, whatever. All of that adds weight to his poem. David Fincher's life, though, his family, his wife, his kids, that's not going to do anything for me when I watch Fight Club. Just his style is going to help me out. So I guess it just depends on you. I mean, some people feel knowing the person completely and entirely helps them understand the product more. Like, there's some actors that have gigantic fan bases where everybody follows them and they're like, oh, I know exactly who you are, I know how you are. But I mean, that's like the thing we're talking about, art and artists. It's not the same, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like that. The whole celebrity thing is weird for me, so I don't follow like that. I like watching Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and the mean, when they read mean tweets or whatever. You know, it's funny to see people, famous people, just being people. But I don't think following those guys is gonna learning about Margot Robbie's life is gonna help me enjoy her performance as Sharon Tate. Only the events of that night, you know, is what's gonna help me. Helter Skelter. If I knew what Helter Skelter was, it's gonna help me appreciate Once Upon a Time, things like that. So it's like, I guess it's up to you, really, what you're trying to get out of the art, and how much it matters to you. But celebrity culture is incredibly toxic, and I don't think that's I don't think that's a good thing. But I don't see a foreseeable end to that. I wouldn't even know how to go against that, you know, because the public is so demanding. You need the only reason they're making that much money is because these people want to see that. And if there's that many people that want it, and that's the demand, then you have to supply the demand to keep making money. Actors can't say specific stances on political points, because then people are going to be like, that's not who you are, even though that's who they are. But, you know, they have this vision that they've made of this person. So I wouldn't even know how to approach that problem, or how to end it, or what to tell people. I just think it's stupid. I find no relevance in it. Those people aren't even the people that you see on TV, obviously. There's a script. Anything that's on screen has been scripted and rehearsed at least once if you're going to see it on a televised screen, because no one's going to put in that much money into a production and not rehearse. That makes no sense. So, yeah.
Cool. On a light-sided note,
Yeah.
lighthearted.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Fight Club. David
Oh.
Fincher directed that one. Fight Club is my favorite movie. And I know that for a fact because that's the film that when I saw that, my little brain was like, it blew up, and it understood what movies are and what they can do for you. How it can help you in ways you didn't even believe, teach you things about yourself, and show you this world, and you just have hours of fun and entertainment to delve in and think, and it just makes you really like, just a whole new point of view that movie gave me. And I remember that was the first time I ever experienced that. I was like in the 7th grade, and that's the first time I really understood. I've always loved movies. I had a bunch of them before, but when I saw that one, I was like, God, I understand. Okay, that's film. That's what that is. And after that, it was like, I mean, it was a dream. Like, if I could do that, if I can make one kid, you know, some brown boy struggling with his family and his parents for money because of whatever, and, you know, it's a hard day at school or whatever, he comes home and he puts on a movie and his little brain gets blown up, that'd be, you know, like, I could die happy. That'd be freaking amazing. Mission complete. That's all I need to do. That's all I want to do. Repay. But yeah, Fight Club. hands down. That's the one.
Dang. So what's your thought of you know, subjectively, what's a good movie? Obviously, Fight Club, great movie. I like it. What do you think makes it the way it is? Or is it just a personal connection, like, oh, I really like the plot, or at least, you know, just for fun, what do you think makes a good movie? I like Fight Club. I wouldn't say it's my personal favorite because I've seen movies that are more artistic and I kind of want that more. But obviously, I want to hear what you think, you know, goes into a good movie, and what do you think is like, if I could have the best movie, it'd be like this, and it'd be like...
Well, that's a good one, because there's no template for making a good movie, but there are ways to make whatever genre movie you're making the best in that genre. You get what I'm saying? Because, like, if you compare The Irishman to Marriage Story, 2 movies that came out on Netflix, completely different, you know? Irishman is like a gangster piece, period piece, way slower, has to do like much different characters and different relationships and different stakes. Marriage Story is about this relationship, and you're watching it, and then you put in The King, which also came out on Netflix. And The King is this whole other thing. It's like a adventure back in the days, and there's like a war. It's like Braveheart. There's like a war speech, and, like, you know, like stuff like that. So all those movies are different, but each one of those movies did a really, really good job in the field that they were going in, you know? And Marriage Story's up for Oscar, Irishman's up for Oscar. I think The King could have been up for some awards, but I don't know about Best Picture, but I mean, it could be up for some awards. And the way to make a I guess the way to make a good movie, obviously, is by caring about the movie that you're making, which means putting in countless and countless hours of work. The devil is always in the details. I mean, that's why Disneyland's the king. You know, you go to Disneyland, there's details everywhere, stories, everything, just to completely envelop you in that story, in that world, whatever. Same thing with movies. The Irishman, the amount of work that Martin Scorsese puts in a film. I mean, the amount of work that Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino must have all put in that movie, you know? The amount of research that these actors do, that's right there. That's what makes a good movie. The devil's in the details. They know their characters inside and out. Martin Scorsese knows his film. He knows the craft. He knows how to maneuver around the problems when they arise. Not only that, these guys do this like weird improvised form of acting where they have a script, but every time they do the scene, it's just what they feel or what they're doing at the time. It's incredibly stressful. But these guys, that's how well they know it, and that's their form of acting, and they play in and they're like, I'm this guy, and they add it, and that's how you make magic, you know? Marriage Story, if you look at the script, there's scenes where Adam Driver is reading word for word everything, including the and the pause that he takes, written in the script. You know, that's good dialogue right there. And then both actors are giving and receiving, they're listening, and they're there, and it's intimate, and the way that the filmmaker helms the camera makes you feel like you're in there, like you're their second kid that's watching the divorce, and you're like, oh, you know, and you can pick which one you want or whatever, and that's how you make a good movie. It's just work. It's literally just work. That's David Fincher's, when I was talking about the details, if you go back to the beginning of the movie and you watch it, before Tyler Durden even pops up, he just flashes on the screen for like literally one frame, a second of a frame. He just boop, and then goes off. Just because they're in the movie, they say Tyler Durden, back when they had film reel, he would like snip it. He would cut out in children's movie like a part of the movie and then put in a frame of pornography. And then he would like make the movie play, and then people would be watching it, and subliminally they would just quickly see something, and like you see, and the kids are like, and then the narrator's talking. He's like, yeah, nobody knows they saw it, but they saw it. And if you go and they add that, like if you go to the beginning half of the movie before Tyler Durden comes out, he pops out and if you find him, you press pause and you'll see him. He just pops out real quick and then goes away.
Wow.
You know, little things like that, and it's like, what? I remember when I was little, you know, because I rewatched the movie, I was like, pause, you know, like look at, there he is. And I remember I went frame by frame to the thing to look for him. There's way more tiny little details like that hidden everywhere. In 7, the serial killer has these notebooks. He actually had writers fill those notebooks with absolute nonsense. And there's like 50 of them. I don't know how long they must have taken them. And he did it just for a quick scene where they're like, look at this. And they just read an excerpt and then they toss it. And that was it. I can't imagine how hard those guys worked. They must have been pissed. But you know what? That's what makes something great. That's what makes the world so livable. And that's what makes a good movie.
Cool. Well, you know, to wrap things up quickly, or well, not quickly, because I guess this can have a long answer, but, you know, to all those aspiring filmmakers, actors, people in the arts, it's a tough business. What would you say to them, to those brown boys, those people who find themselves struggling, especially in a tough community where, you know, it's really hard to even get started, let alone go into business that requires you to kind of have this training?
Well, I'd have to give some hard truths. The fact of the matter is, because of our background and financially, the business that we're getting into is not going to be rewarding for the first couple of years, probably. I've heard people who go a full decade of just pure struggle. And the people that I've met, like in college, who come and talk, that are now successful in doing things on Broadway or whatever, when we have a speaker come, most of them struggle for more than like 5 years. So, and these were people who probably came from better neighborhoods, better backgrounds or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to struggle for 10 years. I'm just saying you will struggle. And that's just the matter of fact, is that if you're trying to do this, you're going to struggle. You're just going to have to. And if you come to terms with that and you're ready to face that because you want to do it that bad, then that part's easy, you know? I mean, then whatever. But you have to come to terms with the fact that you are going to struggle, and that I remember in high school, I really wanted it just to like end as soon as I finished. Like I was like, that was like my goal, you know, like I graduate, then I go to university and that's it. Now I'm done with this poverty. Now I'm done with not having a bed and you know, struggling to eating a chicken sandwich a day or something. But it did not. And that was incredibly disappointing and a huge realization that put me back for a while. So I would tell people like, look, just know that, expect that, and be ready. And once you accept it and you're like, well, yeah, because this is what I want to do, then the struggle ain't a problem. You'll get through it. I mean, life is a struggle. The whole thing is a struggle, you know, and it never ends. I mean, just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean all of a sudden struggles are going to end. You're going to find new struggles in other ways or whatever, you know, higher stakes struggles. I don't know. But that never ends. So once you come to terms with that, specifically that, you know, you might not be the most rich person for the first couple of years. People might think you're a loser, but you're doing what you love, and that's fine. The second thing that I would tell somebody, when I talk to people, I just like assume that they are as passionate or into acting in film as I am. And that's not true. There are not a lot of people who are in that same boat. So I gotta understand that, well, if you don't love it wholeheartedly, if you're not 100% sure, no, yeah, this is what I want to do, why are you gonna struggle for that? You know, because you're just gonna waste years struggling and then be like, nope, this is not what I wanted to do. And you gotta want it for the right reasons. You know, everybody's got their reasons, but like, if you actually love the art, if it's the only thing you can do, because it's the only thing I can do. I can't do anything else. I mean, I got good grades, I did the IB, but I don't want to do math ever again in my life. I finished my last math class, I'm done. I'm never going to look at that again because I don't want to. And if I had to do a job where it involved a bunch of math, man, I couldn't take that. I couldn't take, I know biology, I'm pretty good at biology, but I don't want to be a doctor or a vet or even anything to do with science. I want to act. That's like the only thing that seems to make sense. The only thing that's going to keep me happy. Everything else isn't going to keep me happy. I just know that for a fact because I've known that all my life, all throughout the studies. I was like, this sucks. Until I started acting and I was like, you know, this is great. Even though I did great in my studies, it's not like I did bad. It's just, it sucked. I didn't like it. I liked running and I liked theater. It's funny. They don't pay you. Both of those careers don't pay you for crap. But it's what I like to do. So what does it matter? Like, that's what I mean by the struggle. Like, what does that struggle even matter if I'm doing what I love? I'm going to be happy. So whether I'm like, I might be a little hungry that day, but eventually it'll all go away. If you really love it, I mean, there's no way you're not going to make it. If you're there and that's all you want, all you can do, how are you not going to make it? You know, how are you not going to do it? So for those brown people, make sure that you love it. Make sure that it's the only thing that you're really, truly passionate about and love and want to do. That's hard to know what you love and what your passion is, but I think if you know for a fact and you understand that the struggle's coming, it won't be difficult. You'll just keep living your life, and you'll just, from then on, you're an actor, and that's that. That's the end of that. Or a filmmaker or a director or whatever. But you also got to work hard. That's the thing. If you're not studying, it ain't going to come. You have to work hard, and you have to study. Yeah, that's my advice.
Cool. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
That's all. Cool. Wow.